Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting. Envisioned Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. An affiliate of Direct Impact Broadcasting and Creative Broadcasting, presenting the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, a show that shares the stories behind the journeys of leaders, influencers, and motivators. The EmPower Hour with Jaresha begins now.
Welcome to EmPower Hour with Jaresha. I am your host, Jaresha Moore. I am a best-selling author of over 18 years of combined experience in education, finance, healthcare, business management, and development, owner and founder of EmPower on Purpose, LLC, where we provide leadership training and personal professional coaching and consulting services, certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, and owner of Envisioned Broadcasting radio station. If you haven't signed up yet, there is going to be a virtual networking vision board workshop happening this Sunday, October 6th at 5 p.m. Make sure you get signed up. This is a great opportunity to network and meet like-minded women who are empowered for growth and on a journey to rock out on their goals. During this workshop, we will take time to focus on your goals, get clarity on your vision, and create your vision board with power and purpose. Don't think because it's October you have to wait until the new year to start. There is no time like now. So I hope to see you there. To register, visit EmPower on Purpose Eventbrite page at www.empoweronpurpose.com or the EmPower on Purpose Eventbrite page. So today's empowerment quote is "Never dull your shine for somebody else" by Tyra Banks. In other words, you better shine bright like a diamond and don't let anyone stop you from being you and sharing your greatness. Several years back, I actually worked for a mortgage company, and I had a coworker who would always come into work unhappy and grumpy and with the biggest "I don't want to be here" attitude. As you can imagine, other coworkers got to the point where they didn't want to share anything good, positive, or even exciting while she was around because she was the kind of person who always had something negative to say. I'm sure you know someone right now that is just this kind of person. So we knew that we could always count on her to bring anyone down off of their high horse or off of cloud nine and dull their shine. Here's what I will tell you. You will always come in contact with people who try to make you feel like you are not destined for greatness. You have to rise above that and above those types of people. You have to believe in your shine and shine so bright that even that person may think twice about trying to bring you down. You have to truly believe in yourself and give yourself permission to shine and be great. Believe me when I say people will expect you to fail, give up, and throw in the towel. But you got this. Let them judge you. They may misunderstand you. Let them talk about you and even gossip about you. Remember, you got this. You stay on the path and journey that you are on. You stay committed to your journey, and no matter what they say or do, don't you dare doubt your worth. Just keep shining. So without further delay, I am really excited to welcome my guest, Dez Stephens. Dez Stephens is the founder of Radiant Health Institute. She's actually the founder and CEO of Radiant Coaches Academy, a social enterprise and prominent international coaching or coach training school that certifies individuals to create vibrant, professional, private practices as holistic life coaches, wellness coaches, and business coaches. She is a certified life coach, master trainer, and marketing strategist. Radiant Coaches Academy enhances lives through special events, holistic coach training, and through the publication of books written by the Academy's coaches. The publication available on Amazon inspires readers to navigate life stages through reflection and growth. The Academy is currently training coaches in Central America, the United States, and Canada, and is expanding its international training locations. The Academy aims to facilitate human growth and prosperity by focusing on quality of life, holistic pursuits, and personal empowerment. Dez has coached professionally since 2005 and 2012. And in 2012, founded Radiant Coaches Academy and has trained and certified over 400 students. In 2014, her training school earned the prestigious status of offering accredited hours to the International Coach Federation, or ICF. In 2017, ICF of Tennessee honored her and her institute with the Prism Award for the advancement of the coaching profession. She received her life coach certification from Guided Mindful Change in 2005, and the University of Transpersonal Theology bestowed her with an honorary doctorate in 2015. Dez also holds an associate certified coach credential through ICF. Dez has a business degree and has worked in marketing for various startup companies, nonprofits, healthcare corporations, and in the entertainment industry. Before launching Radiant Health Institute, she worked as a professional business coach, both as a sole proprietor and for organizations. In addition to her roles as an educator and trainer, Dez is an passionate advocate, a volunteer, and an activist. Since her youth, she has volunteered for environmental, humanitarian, and animal causes. For nearly a decade, she has worked pro bono as an inmate partner for Better Decisions at the Tennessee Prison for Women. She also has served as a life skills educator for Thistle Farms, which serves women survivors of trafficking, prostitute, and addiction. In Honduras, the Academy's coach trainees receive full scholarships, and she has already donated $750,000 of training there. In this developing nation, the training provides job opportunities to impoverished and underemployed citizens. Newly trained coaches in Honduras earn a sustainable living by extending their income base through online coaching. Several trainees in Honduras have formed their own professional coaching organizations to provide corporate and pro bono coaching. Dez is the recipient of ICF's Tennessee Prism Award for her humanitarian work in Honduras. The Academy's work in Honduras has also resulted in the co-founding of an official nonprofit organization. The Melanie Gissel Foundation assists Hondurans who have lost precious family members. This nonprofit is also co-founded by two of the Academy's graduates, a married couple who lost their daughter in a tragic car accident when she was 10. Dez has also been named as an honorary member of the Melanie Gissel Foundation. Dez is a former board member of the Pineal Ridge Retreat Center, the Yoga Society of Nashville and Tennessee's chapter of the International Coach Federation. She currently serves as a member-at-large for the nonprofit organization, The Rooted Bridge. Dez is also a co-executive producer of the documentary film End of the Line, The Women of Standing Rock, highlighting Native women fighting to keep clean water on their native lands in the North Dakota and beyond. As a business coach, she enjoys coaching entrepreneurs and small businesses, using her innate talent for creating innovative approaches for promotion and for birthing brilliant, achievable ideas. She also has a knack for originating memorable concepts, business names, and taglines for her clients. Dez is passionate and sincere in helping people live more empowered, meaningful lives, and considers herself a dedicated humanitarian and social enterpriser. Welcome, Dez. I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Thanks.
How are you?
I'm great.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Can I say that, like I said, I'm really excited, and you are such a busy lady. So you're the founder of Radiant Health Institute. I mentioned that you're a social enterprise comprised of holistic educators, providers, practitioners dedicated to enhancing lives through special events, holistic coach training. The list goes on and on. Tell us more about you and why you decided to start Radiant Health Institute.
Such a good question. Well, when I grew up, I thought to myself constantly, I just want to help people. I didn't know what it would look like. I thought about going to social work. I thought about becoming a teacher, things like that. And as I grew up, I basically went into nonprofit work because I just wanted to help people and the environment and animals and the whole thing. So becoming a coach kind of happened accidentally. I was working at a nonprofit, and a colleague of mine that I greatly respect turned to me one day and she said, "You would make an amazing life coach." And I thought to myself, me? Like, why me? Like, I'm a terrible listener. I would be terrible at that. But she said, no, you would actually learn how to listen if you went to training. So I was like, ooh, well, sign me up. So that's why I became certified as a coach, just to learn how to listen better to people. And I wasn't even really intending on becoming a coach in private practice. But as the years went on, I thought, this is really something that I can help people with. And my background was in marketing, fundraising for nonprofits. So I became a marketing coach for a while. I was a relationship coach for a while. Now I'm a business coach. So as I was coaching, I kept getting the question from, people I would meet. They would say, oh, tell me more about this. I want to become a coach. So I would send them to San Diego where I went, or I'd send them somewhere else that I recommend, and I realized there was nothing in my area, in the Nashville area. So that's really how I came up with the idea to start the company, is just out of tremendous need in a growing, booming industry. So, my thought was I want to train coaches in a very progressive manner. I loved my own training that I had, and it was definitely more cutting edge, more progressive than most models, and that's why we call it a holistic coach training model. But it's really just a way of helping people look at every area of their life, and that was 7 years ago that we started the company, and now we've been in 4 countries, over 400 students, like you said, and it's just been a whirlwind of fun and amazement.
Absolutely. That is just completely amazing. Over 400 students. My goodness. What an amazing, journey that you have been on with, with your company, with your organization, Radiant Health Institute. So tell us a little bit more about some of the clients that you serve.
Well, in terms of being a coach, my clients are primarily entrepreneurs and small business owners. Of course, we can coach, every aspect of their life, but they're really growing their businesses. They're, forming their marketing, their branding, their new ideas around their businesses. So that's a great client for me. In terms of my coaching academy, the client is primarily someone that really does want to help others. And they're wondering, can I be a coach? Can I do this? Can I be a wellness coach? Can I be a life coach? Can I be a business coach? So a lot of our students are actually coming from education, healthcare, nonprofit, yoga teachers, massage therapists, you name it. So I think, when people always ask me, what is the prerequisite to become a coach? And I say, if you have a real passion and compassion for others, you're ideal to become a coach. You don't need an educational background behind it. Of course, if you come from finance, you might become a great money coach. Or if you're into wellness, you might be a great, wellness coach. But really all that matters is that you care about others deeply and authentically. That's all it takes.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more, being a coach myself, that, truly it's having that compassion, like you said, for others. And, I think it's amazing because I know that you have, been on the journey with, your company for, several years, 7 years. But, I can think back to when, the whole idea of like the life coach and just being a coach, it really wasn't a thing, and then I think over the last maybe 10 years, it has truly just kind of morphed into, just so many people that's out there that's having that compassion, for others. And as you mentioned, just having those different, niches that, you may have a finance coach, you may have a life coach, you may have, a marketing coach. And so there's so many different people that's like, what, I definitely want to be able to help others. How can I, do that? So, when you think of those people that are on their journey, how truly do you support, your clients, and what are some of the methods that you typically use?
Wow, my biggest method for sure is just positivity. You know, I always think to myself, am I serving as a resource? Am I staying relevant with the conversation? Am I being professional? But mostly, am I being positive? Maybe that's my energy, maybe it's my words, maybe it's my body language. But I think offering someone just a space of positivity can, well, first of all, it's contagious. Like you said, that negative person at work can really be harmful to an environment, but there's always going to be that person. And I believe that positivity trumps negativity every time. So that's really what I offer. I mean, I use methods of open-ended questions, and I create a sacred space, and I'm a very direct coach, so I'm very efficient. So I might kind of, drill down to the real basics. But mostly what I do is I'm just positive and encouraging and supportive.
Absolutely. And I think, that just honestly, that goes a long way, because as I shared, with the empowerment quote, there's so many, it really doesn't surprise me as far as the negativity that is out there. And so it's so nice when you come in contact with, others that are positive. And certainly, having, being a coach myself, it's just nice to be able to bring that positivity and being optimistic with, clients and, those that you're trying to serve and help support. So absolutely. So in addition to your roles, as I mentioned, as far as being an educator and trainer, you are also, an advocate and a volunteer and activist. Tell us more about that.
Well, I've always done it, I think in part because my parents were also volunteers and instilled that in me. But I think, honestly, it really comes from this place of there's a lot of suffering in this world, and if I can help in any way, I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to serve. So, I'm very sensitive to other people's pain, and if I can support someone, encourage someone, be a light for them, it's kind of like I can't not do it. I feel the urge to always help others. So in my private practice as a coach, I'm certainly doing that for pay, but there are so many people that need help and support that can't afford coaching or just need help in general. So, it doesn't matter whether it's a soup kitchen or, a coaching round or any kind of help that anyone needs. I'm very drawn to doing that. But coaching works really well. Group coaching works really well. So the kind of work I do at the prison for women here in Tennessee is what we call inmate partnering. And they go through an educational process. It's very empowering for them. But the coaching is just one-on-one. It's 8 weeks in a row. It's supposed to last an hour, but mine always go like 3 hours. Because, you just get into this incredible conversation with someone who, maybe has not had coaching ever or an encouraging word from someone else, hardly at all. So those sessions can be really intense and really beautiful. And I just, wherever I go, wherever I live, wherever I travel, I just say, how can I serve? And I just find out how I can help, and I do it.
I think that is awesome. I will tell you that, I have experiences as far as going into some of, at least the women's prison that is here in the Ohio area. And it just, my first time even, going there and doing some of the teaching and, some of the coaching, some of the classes as far as, empowerment and all of that, it was an amazing experience, just to be able to, like you said, to give back, to see how we can serve, because as you mentioned, those inmates are there, and they definitely, are wanting to learn and need more people that are willing to go in and serve, whether it's, in the prisons, like you mentioned as far as the, the partnering up with, some of the women prisons, whether it's partnering up with the women prisons or, volunteering, as I mentioned in your bio with the environmental, humanitarian, and animal causes. Can you talk a little bit more about what that has truly been like for you, and what, really motivated you to, really, start doing that?
So different areas had different motivations.
Mm-hmm.
For my animal rights activism that, frankly, I've just done since I was a teenager, started with, I was playing with my dog when I was 15 years old, my big German Shepherd, and just wrestling around on the floor with him. And I looked down at his leg, and I realized his leg looked like a chicken leg. And this light bulb went off, and I thought, isn't that interesting that, I wouldn't eat my dog, but why am I eating a chicken? So I immediately became a vegetarian. And when I say vegetarian, I mean like cheesetarian, because I didn't know what to eat. So I was like eating Doritos and, drinking Tab and eating ice cream,
Mm-hmm.
But so I definitely had kind of this like, wait a minute, kind of moment. So, that led into a lot of different projects, including starting a cruelty-free products mail order company. This was way back before you can get that kind of stuff. Becoming a vegetarian, I would go out into the woods and prevent hunters from hunting, and I've done a lot in nonprofits with animal testing for cosmetics and, all kinds of, vivisection initiatives and dissection things in schools. So really that just came out of a love, kind of like the speciesism wave that came over me, which I thought, why do we have certain standards for one species over another? So that's kind of where that motivation came from. In terms of helping women in prison, and, I've done work with Thistle Farms, which is this great organization that helps women when they come out of prison so that they're not returning to prison. And those programs are very intense in a home where they live for 2 years, and they get everything that they need, including group coaching. And that kind of came more out of my little brother used to be in prison. And I know that when he left, he didn't really get the support he needed, and luckily he did not go back. But I think just having a sibling that has had that experience and seeing what he needed leaving prison really helped me to understand that women that are leaving prison here in Tennessee, where I live, need support as they're leaving and after they leave. So different motivations for different things. I think from environmentalist standpoint, I think just growing up in the 70s, being very aware of conservation and how everything kind of works together. For example, an environmentalist, the easiest way to help the planet is to eat less meat. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. And they don't. But it's just, it's a matter of just sharing information and letting people make their own decisions without judgment at all. Information is empowering, and choices are life-giving. So I'm a real big advocate of just sharing information with people for them to make their own decisions.
Absolutely, and I love that. Information is empowering. I think that's amazing. So you also, and you kind of talked on it a little bit, served as a life skill educator for the Thistle Farms, which serves women survivors of trafficking, prostitution, and addiction. I think that is such a rewarding way to reach out to these women. How or what kind of influence do you think you truly provided, for these women?
Well, what I've come to learn over the years is I'm not really doing anything to them. They're doing all the work, and really it's just about, it might sound really simple, but it's really about just giving them attention, giving them love, giving them a place to share their story. One of the things that really made an impression on me when I started doing that work is I came into this home, and I was all set up to do my workshop, and I had all my, my board and my markers, and I was very surprised. The women that were part of this group were all different ages, all different sizes, all different backgrounds, and it occurred to me that I kind of had this image in my head of the woman that I would meet that had a background in prostitution, addiction, and trafficking, and turns out that these are everyday women with everyday experiences. So I don't feel like I'm doing anything to them. I feel like they are just in an environment now where they can learn for themselves. So, for example, when I describe coaching, I say, it's a partnership. But the partnership leads to the client coming to an understanding of their own life. And, I'm not empowering them. I'm not transforming them. I'm just coaching them. And I think my energy, my positive energy, my compassion for them, my non-judging attitudes and beliefs about them or not having beliefs about them really create this beautiful space for them to just learn more about themselves. And, it's just every single session is different and every single session has its own beauty to it.
Absolutely. And I have to, really just piggyback on what you said as far as the positive energy, the judging attitude, because that goes such a long way. I just think about my own experience with some of the ladies that, I've had an opportunity to, share, through coaching and just really kind of pour into them. It was such an amazing experience. And so just to hear their journeys, just to hear the growth that, they had kind of gone through the time that we were actually, in that partnership, it was simply amazing. It was simply amazing. And then they were so appreciative just to have someone to come there to pour into them, someone that, brought that positive energy and that that positive attitude. So, I definitely think, I take my hat off to you, for that, because I definitely think that, as I mentioned, before, that, we need so many more people that is willing to just go out and just serve in so many different aspects, and I think that's awesome that, that's, what you've done and that's what you continue to do. I think that's absolutely amazing. So what would you say has been your biggest challenge to date?
I think listening to others too much. Sometimes we get into this, like listening to everyone else's advice about our business or about our life. And, I think just to, go inward for me works really well. And I think the challenges for me are just about, reaching more people. So, it's like any business. You're always wanting, new customers, new clients. And sometimes it can be a real challenge to, come up with a new innovative marketing technique and, or to stay consistent with your own marketing. Marketing's my background, but sometimes I get a little sick of it, because I've been doing it so long. So sometimes you just have to, hand the reins over to someone else for a while or reinvigorate yourself. But, I don't know. Sometimes I feel indecisive about business decisions, and I think that's probably natural and normal. But I really don't feel like I have a lot of challenges, but if I do, those are minor ones.
Absolutely, and I can understand all too well. You mentioned listening to others too much. I think that, we often, even as women, kind of we go through this quite often, listening to what someone may say either about our business or, personal, whatever it may be. And, as you mentioned, sometimes we just have to focus on, self and kind of shut out what everyone else is going to say and do what's best for us. So I definitely agree with that. And then, as you mentioned, we have to be willing to delegate, because I definitely think that, as business owners and entrepreneurs, that there are, we have so many things on our plate, and we have to be willing just to say, okay, let me hand this over, even if it's, maybe something that, we look at as something that we specialize in. As you mentioned, you have, your background is in marketing. But yeah, sometimes you just feel like, oh, I'm tired of, really doing this. So let me see if I can hand it over to someone else or delegate this task to someone else. And I think as women, we don't do that enough, because we're, super women, and, we just want to take care of everything and do everything. But, I think it's so important just to recognize that it's, there are times when we truly just need to hand over things to other people to have that support system and allow them to help us through, what's going on in our business and, personal life. So what would you say has been the biggest accomplishment for you up to this point?
Definitely starting a nonprofit organization in Honduras. It was the culmination of, you mentioned, a husband and wife who lost their daughter is the motivation that we started the Melanie Giselle Foundation. But now both of their children, one is 16 and one is 13, I believe she is, they are part of the nonprofit as well. And what we do in Honduras and the rest of Central America is we provide grief recovery coaching. There's a lot of loss in that country. We all have loss, but this is a beautiful effort that we're making down there, and we now work with the UN down there, and we have initiatives starting with the International Red Cross. So really what this is about is, turning a tragedy, a personal tragedy that happened with a family, and their deep understanding for loss, because they have, they've experienced it themselves, to empathize and sympathize with other people who have had loss. Loss can be a person. Loss can be, a job you've lost. Loss can be, I used to be younger and I'm not younger anymore. We all have loss. So to help people understand that they can recover from grief is really exceptional. And that is definitely one of my proudest accomplishments, because it's such a beautiful nonprofit, and I love the work we do, and I'm so proud of the family that I'm doing it with.
Absolutely. I think that is wonderful, to be able to just, again, it goes back to that serving and being able to give back and help others that, either have recognized that they had some kind of loss and are grieving and, are just really wanted to just help them through that process. So I definitely think that's amazing. So let's switch gears just a little bit. What would you say, when it comes down to what does a day in the life of Dez Stephens, really look like?
Well, I think other people that are interviewed say, like, I get up early and I do yoga. But really what I do is I really listen to my body, and I get a lot of sleep. That's one of my major health, regimens that I do is I let myself sleep as long as my body wants to sleep. And I have my own business, so I have the benefit of, having a certain schedule, and I homeschool my son, who happens to be a really good sleeper as well. So I sleep about 10 hours every night. And so, I might get up at 8 or 9, depending on when I wake up. And I definitely, within 30 minutes I'm checking my email just briefly to make sure there's nothing urgent in my business. But I really, I have this new house where my backyard is like a forest. And it's this beautiful back porch. And I'm a dog lover. I have 2 big dogs. And so it's really about just kind of, watching the hummingbirds at the hummingbird feeder and just connecting as much as I can to the outdoors. I definitely, I'll go to yoga and I'll get a massage and, things like that. But, my day really consists of, emailing and marketing and doing interviews, doing coaching, obviously, strategic planning, things like that. But I really only anchor myself to my desk about 2 days a week. And the rest of the time, I spend time with my son. I homeschool him. We travel. We volunteer. I volunteer. It's hard to take kids on volunteer. This is one of my I think we should change this about our society. We should be able to volunteer more with our children. So, my day really consists of just listening to my body, listening to what I need, not being so regimented, where I'm definitely not must do this at 5 o'clock and must have, certain things done at a certain time. I'm more of a flow person. So I just let myself sleep, and then I'm in a much better mood. And, it's just good for your health,
Absolutely, I completely agree. And I am, I would say I'm probably a little bit on the opposite end of that. But I love that. I absolutely love it. And so, I think it's so important, as you mentioned, just to be able to listen to, your body and have that self-care. I definitely wish I could, do that a lot more. And I really shouldn't say I wish, because honestly, I could do that a lot more. I just have to, do that. And like you said, be willing to just let yourself sleep instead of feeling like you have to just jump up, especially for me on the weekends. But you did mention also about the volunteering for kids. So I am with you on this. I definitely think that they should change that for kids to be able to volunteer. There has been a couple of different places that we have as a family been able to volunteer. But, there is definitely, age, they have an age limit and all of that, where you have to be this certain age, and not every place is like that. So I agree with you on that piece. I don't know who needs to change that or who's over that, but that would be nice if they would.
Yeah, it's all about liability. When I was young, my stepmom, who's a social worker, would take me to her clinics, meaning that families would come in, families with children with special needs. Mm-hmm. They'd come see the doctor. They could come see her. And I remember this set of twins, and I'm a twin too, so I was really drawn to these twins. And they were 5 years old. And one was, quote, normal, and the other one had severe physical, mental disabilities. And I took care of this little girl. And, it was only probably for 45 minutes at a time. But I learned so much from, she couldn't walk, she couldn't talk, she couldn't speak, but her twin understood everything that was happening and treated her like she was totally the same as her. And I think I don't know how old I was, maybe 12, 13 when I was doing this, maybe younger. But, my son is 10 now, and I was doing volunteer work like this at his age. Now when I try to volunteer with him, they say, oh, liability, you have to be 16, I'm thinking, gosh, kids really need to be doing this because it really flexes their humanitarian muscles early.
Absolutely. I agree. As I mentioned, I think it was one place that we were able to volunteer, and they did not have to be 16, and that was, to be able to feed, the homeless. But otherwise, they, like you mentioned, that it's that liability piece that, we have to follow. But, it's just nice. It's a great experience for the kids to be able to, give back and serve and all of that as well. So we both know how important it is to, mentor and coach others. Please share how having your own mentoring coach has truly impacted you and your business.
I have some incredible coaches. Some are business coaches, so it's really nice to get an objective standpoint of, and that's where kind of that indecision comes in a lot. I'm not sure, how to grow my business or when to grow it and how to expand it. And having a business coach, in fact, my coaches, I purposefully pick them not in the U.S. so that they have kind of this international, frame of mind. On a personal level, oh my gosh, I have so many good coaches. But they really challenged me to, I don't really know how to describe it. It's more like just setting that time aside for myself to do that is just really meaningful. It doesn't really matter what I talk about, but what's meaningful about it is that I'm on the other end as a client. And I never want to forget that side of what I'm doing, and I never want to think that I don't need coaching. And I think the kind of coaching I don't really get is like physical, like, wellness coaching. I probably could use a little bit more of that. But, my goal physically is, make sure I'm hydrated, make sure I'm rested, make sure that I move my body every day. So sometimes I can get a little arrogant about like, oh, I know what I'm doing, but I could probably benefit in that area as well. But yes, having coaches and mentors, oh my gosh, it just makes all the difference.
It does, absolutely. As you shared, it just, especially if you have a really great or some great coaches, it's good for support, good for that accountability piece. There's so many positive things. I can't think of even one, con for having any kind of, there's so many pros. Can't think of one con for having, a coach, a mentor, because they're literally designed to help you through, whatever it is, whether it's your business, your finance, your health, relationships. That's what they're there for. And so I definitely just, want to say that it's, even for myself, it's been a tremendous, it's been really a game changer for my own business to have some really great coaches. So today the empowerment quote was "Never dull your shine for somebody else" by Tyra Banks. Could you please share what this quote actually means to you?
I'm just going to pull it out a little farther to say, don't do anything in the context of others. This is something, especially as women, we constantly do. We're kind of comparing ourselves, and we're making ourselves smaller or trying to make ourselves bigger. And I say, we're not going in as much as we could be. Going inward, going to that quiet, beautiful place where everything we need is there. I think we sometimes forget how brilliant we really are, how big our light really is. I have this one coach who's always repeating when she's coaching me, bring in more light, bring in more light, bring in more light. And it just, reminds me how illuminated we are. And when we hide or dim ourselves for others, sometimes it can be socially, sometimes, maybe when we're networking or, in a business meeting or something. And sometimes I'm really in awe of someone else. I'm like, whoa, like, wow, look at that. And sometimes I can get into this like I get smaller sometimes. And so I think in those moments it's really important to just not compare, but to just, honor the light in all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good. I love the fact that you said that your coach has said, bring in more light. I love that. Absolutely love it. Yes, that's great. So if you could share one resource, tool, or maybe an app that you feel is like a must-have for like all entrepreneurs or business owners, what would that be?
Well, I'll tell you the one I use the most, which I love. It's called MyQuest. It's a learning platform. It's kind of like Teachable or Thinkific, kind of one of those, but it's the one that we use for our coach training school. And it's great because it's like this community online, and we learn from each other, and we have buddy systems, and we build healthy habits, and we have these internal journaling mechanisms. So I just absolutely love MyQuest. But I will say there is one that I use that is really helpful if you're working internationally, is World Time Buddy, so that you will never miss a meeting. Because one of the things I've learned recently as I train in new countries is that, for example, I'm in Central quote, Standard Time, but some of the year I'm in Central Daylight Time. So I had to learn the hard way when I missed a meeting once that I was in the wrong time zone, even though I thought I was in, quote, Central Time. So if you are doing international initiatives of any kind, World Time Buddy is a great free app. And just make sure you are where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have never heard of either one of those, but I love it. I love it. And I'm always about, any kind of resource that's helpful. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to have to check both of those out, actually. So then if you could give one piece of advice to our listeners on how they can empower their own growth and success journey, what would that be?
Give back. When you're hurting or when you're feeling low or less than, the easiest way to build yourself up is to do something for someone else. When I work at the prison, I coach women who, some of them don't have any visitors. They don't get any mail. So one thing that you can do is you can send a letter to any prison, care of the chaplain, and write an inmate a letter and ask the chaplain to deliver it to someone that does not receive mail. You can write to military personnel who do not receive mail. You can go to the hospital and rock some babies. So that, to me, is the quickest way to empower yourself to do something for someone else, because it puts you in that greater, larger context. I think it's important to, be self-serving in terms of, caring for yourself and learning from yourself, because all of our answers are inside. But sometimes it can get into a bit of a self-centric kind of life, and we forget how easy it is to grow and learn from others. So I say just reach out to others and serve others. That's the easiest way.
Absolutely. I love that. That was amazing tips to, really share to help those listeners empower their own growth and success journey. So share with the listeners what is actually coming up on the horizon for you.
More countries, more. We're dabbling with an idea of opening a retreat center, which is really exciting. And I should be writing a book at this point. I haven't started yet, but it's all in my brain at this point. By the time I get to the keyboard, it will be all written. I just think I'm always following a friend of mine calls it following the thread of success. When a new opportunity comes about, I don't say yes to everything, and I think that's a big piece of advice for people is, if we start saying no more, we're really going to narrow our focus on what's important and what our priority really is. But I just think, as I travel and as I build my business, I'm just going to be listening. I'm just going to be guided, and I'm going to follow the call, whatever it is.
Absolutely. I love that. Just to be listening. Des, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your story. Please share with the listeners on how they can stay connected with you and support your efforts.
The easiest way to find me is radiantcoaches.com. Everything is there. Get a hold of me. Des at radiantcoaches.com is a really easy way to find me. My name is Dez Stephens with a PH. You can find me on social media. And, that's the easiest way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's truly been an honor and a pleasure to have you as a guest on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. I want to definitely wish you much success and blessings as you continue on your journey.
Thanks.
So, listeners, thank you for tuning in to tonight's show with our special guest, Dez Stephens. Des shared her amazing story and journey to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. And she also shared that how important it is to give back. And when you're feeling low or less than, the easiest way to build yourself up is to do something for someone else and be self-serving. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, starting your own radio show or low-cost advertising, highlighting your book, business, or events, please email envisionedb@empoweronpurpose.com. Please tune in next week where you will hear an amazing story and journey from another leader, influencer, and motivator. Until next time, be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, where Jaresha speaks with leaders, influencers, and motivators who share their journeys in personal and professional growth, empowerment tips, lessons learned, and keys of success that will empower you to be your best self. Follow Jaresha on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jaresha Moore, and visit EmpowerOnPurpose.com. And remember to be intentional and be empowered, and have a great day on purpose.